Nick, what did you make of the Blazers voting no?
I think it's kind of ridiculous. And the players evidently on the Blazers wanted them to only invite 20 teams instead of 22 teams. It strikes me like someone who strongly encourages taxes be raised starting at $1 more than they make. Like, no, it's just got to be fair. Portland, you just wanted the minimum threshold to be what you've accomplished, and everyone else left out. And all this sympathy for the Blazers. 50 games this year, you had your big three, Dame, CJ, Whiteside. You were so dominant in those 50 games, you were 26 and 24. Dame and CJ have played 62 and 58 games respectively. They are a sub 500 team. This idea that we should be making changing things up to fit Portland, like they're going to be some juggernaut once they get Nurkic back. Last I saw Yusuf Nurkic, he was getting dunked into the center of the earth by LeBron James. So Portland, we could have had a nice unanimous 30-0 vote, and instead you go against it. I don't like it, Wildes.
Okay, I know, but hey, let's modulate your Dame criticism. We're not talking about Julian Edelman. He'll come at you pretty hard on Twitter, Nick, so I want you to be careful. I don't want to take any shrapnel from that being right next to you. If we could show the graphic here, I totally agree, Broussard. As you know, the Blazers are my new favorite team. I think there's a lot of drama, and I think they've got a point. They're like, leave the Suns out of it. I don't want to see the Suns. The other thing is that the good part about this was CJ was on for this. We play for an ownership group that actually listens to its players and has a backbone. We voiced what we felt was the best option. They followed our lead. I commend our front office and Jody Allen. So if CJ liked it, Broussard, I was all for it since CJ is the leader of my new favorite team.
Yeah, I'm leaning more toward Nick's side. I think the Blazers, love their organization. Neil O'Shea in the front office does a great job. Who doesn't like Dame and CJ? But they have a tendency also to think they're the smartest team in the room, okay? I mean, CJ, okay, ownership listens to you. There are other teams that ownership listens to, too. You don't think they listen to LeBron James with the Lakers? I mean, you're not that unique in that regard in the NBA. And Nick's right. I mean, they didn't want the Suns, who cares? I mean, they're going to go out early. They're not going to make the play-in or anything like that. But the Spurs, remember, they didn't want 21 teams, the Blazers. They wanted 20. That would have left the Spurs out. The Spurs are a half game behind Portland, Sacramento, and New Orleans, who are all locked at 21 and a half games, behind the leaders in the East, so in the West. So I just think that Portland should have gone with everybody else. Michael Jordan only wanted 16 teams straight to the playoffs. Yeah, he voted yes. Clay Bennett with Oklahoma City wanted all 30 teams back. Yeah, he voted yes. Portland should have gone ahead and made it unanimous.
I'll say it for you, Broussard. Miss me with that, Portland. All right, Commissioner Adam Silver came out yesterday and said they're going to allow players who suffered seemingly season-ending injuries to return if they are now healthy. Or in other words, Kevin Durant has entered the chat. Nick, what's your reaction to what Adam Silver had to say?
Yeah, that's a great line, Jenna. To me, this was an announcement that didn't need to be made. The NBA doesn't have an IR like the NFL where you put this player on season-ending injury list and it opens up a new roster spot and then they're removed from your roster. We always knew this. At least I thought we did. Maybe I've been confused. I thought guys could always come back. I think this is now the commissioner was asked the question, so it's not his fault. But this is, again, as I've been saying and predicting all along, over these next, how long do we have till the season starts? 56 days? Over these next 56 days, we are going to start to hear what is a mumble turn into a whisper, turn into be a dull roar of Kevin Durant should return. I don't think it's fair to him. And now I'll tell you who really wouldn't think it's fair. The Raptors or whomever the Nets end up playing in the first round if the Nets become the most dangerous 7 seed in the history of the NBA. But to me, Wildes, we knew guys could come back. So I don't know why this question was even asked to begin with.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. But when I looked at it, I'm like, you're kind of hinting that's unfair. I looked at it, it's like Lakers and the Bucks, they have no home court advantage, and now they're playing these teams. If in a perfect world, Nurkic, Collins, Durant, Kyrie, John Wall, let's bring Michael Jordan back, Gilbert Arenas come back, who knows who's going to come back. Those teams are at a disadvantage. They already lost home court advantage, and now they're playing these superstar teams that are only at the bottom of their divisions because of injuries, Broussard.
No, look, let's go again to Durant because that's the big name. John Wall has said that he's not yet been cleared for 5-on-5. He said that on a podcast with David Aldridge the other day. But I don't expect John Wall to come back. He also said he's not playing again, as you showed us earlier, Wild. But with Kevin Durant, I'm with Nick. I would not pressure him to come back at all. And if he decides not to, I will not rip him. That's totally his choice to sit it out if he wants. But I think Kevin Durant has absolutely nothing to lose because even if they come back, no one in their right mind would expect them to win the East. So you're playing with house money. Next year, the pressure's going to be on Brooklyn to do some damage with Durant and Kyrie. If he came back this year, there would be no pressure, not really many expectations, and maybe they could pull off something because of the strange format and then create one of the great moments in recent sports history.
All right, let's move on to the Phoenix Suns now, guys. They may be 26-39 this season, but they dipped into my genre of movies tweeting this gem last night, so you're saying there's a chance. Our friends over at Fox Bet are giving the Suns plus 25,000 odds to win the title, also known as Suns aren't going to win the title, Nick. Nick, which long shot team, though, do you think could have a chance at maybe making some noise in this format?
Yeah, the Suns at 250-1, that ain't it. I'll tell you a team that could be it, though. Again, not to win, I don't think they're going to win the title, but I think it might be worth a few dollars if you want to have, a little excitement going into maybe round 2, maybe even round 3. What about the Dallas Mavericks? The number 1 offense in all of basketball. They will have, in the majority of their playoff series, potentially, depending on how the bracket falls, the best player on the court, which is wildly valuable in the postseason, in Luka. And I understand folks will say, it's going to be Luka's first time in the playoffs. Yes, but not really, because of what he did in Europe, leading his team to a championship when he was 17 years old, going against grown men. He's played in a playoff environment, and especially if the Mavericks do end up drawing a Clippers team in round 1 that does not have the size to deal with a healthy Kristaps, because that's the other part of this. Kristaps, we're not talking about a player who is returning because he's been back all year for the majority of the year, but a guy who is now even further removed from that knee injury. A great head coach, an MVP candidate in Luka, Kristaps who can cause matchup problems. I think the Mavericks are an interesting long shot contender, Wildes.
I'm torn on whether or not I believe that Luka playing for Real Madrid at 17 counts as playoff experience. I'm trying to calibrate it in my head. I think I'm going to agree. I bet Broussard does not. Hey, if you are a fan of the play-in teams, Grizzlies, Trailblazers, Pelicans, Kings, Spurs, Suns, go follow Paul Garcia. He did the odds for every single scenario. And here's bad news for Suns fans. 40% chance of making it into the playoffs if they win every single game. So that's Paul Garcia, NBA. Go follow him, and you can figure out where your team stands. And if you're Suns, you're probably not going to like it.
So let me get this straight, Nick. Now the Dallas Mavericks are going to beat the Clippers in the playoffs, right? I mean, come on. How did I know you were going to turn this into a shot at the Clippers? You are going to learn, Nick. You're going to learn very soon. All right, look. Wildes, I know that you think Yusuf Nurkic is the second coming of Bill Walton, and the Blazers are going to turn the clock back to 1977 and win the championship. Stop it. New Orleans, they won't win the title, but New Orleans is the team I'm most intrigued with as far as the long shots because they could do a little damage and maybe make the playoffs. They won 11 of their last 18 games. They beat Boston. They beat Miami. They beat Portland twice. They beat Indiana. Lonzo Ball averaged 21, 8, and 8 over his last 5 games. We know what Zion has been doing Drew Holiday has playoff experience. I think the Pelicans could be a dangerous team among the long shots.
Okay, so I can't give respect to Luka. You're out here saying the Pelicans when a couple days ago you were like, oh my God, you got Zion a tier ahead of Jason Tatum. He's played 20 games, all this nonsense. I'm going to add one other team quickly. That is a semi-long shot. They're 25-1. Philly. For the reasons we discussed yesterday, the return of Ben Simmons, and they've been the best team in basketball at home while being an awful team on the road. Obviously, no home, no road. Will Orlando play more like a home game than a road game? Philly with Embiid, also with the ability that Luka has to be the best player on the court during a series. I don't trust their coaching and I don't trust their chemistry, but from a pure talent perspective, they're at least an intriguing option, Jenna.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.